Welcome back all. Today's video is on the Johnson Viking Valiant. Now the owner that has this rig is a big AM buff, loves AM, and he talks mostly on 160 meters. He's picked this rig up and he's hooked it up, and unlike his other rig, he said that he saw no tubes light up on the left side of the radio. So we wanted to check this out. I think I already know what his problem is, but we're going to check it out, verify what he's saying, and then one thing that we need to look at is the VFO. And inside that VFO is an 18K 2-watt resistor that supplies voltage to the regulator, and as Terry over at D-Lab will call it, the Chernobyl resistor. Now it's very important that you always check those resistors and replace them, especially if it has the old original 2-watt carbon comp. Don't even worry about testing it, just go ahead and replace it, because if this resistor goes out, it can burn up the whole inside of the VFO compartment. So we're going to get some power on this thing and take a look in the top of it and see if we can see what he's talking about tubes not lighting up. Okay, I had the rig powered up and I'm looking inside of it, and sure enough, there's no tubes that you can see on this side. Looking through the top, that is lit up, and there's a reason for that. Those two big old mercury vapor tubes has been replaced with solid state devices, so you will see nothing coming on this side. The two small tubes here in the middle between the regulators, the rectifiers and the VFO, have heavy ghetto compound on top, so you can't look directly into them and see that they lit up. But by looking over here on the side panel, I can see that they are lighting up. And your two tubes up here in the front, V9 and 10, are not going to light up until you key the microphone or throw it into the transmit position. And they are regulators, so when they light up, they will turn a purplish color. So verifying what he's saying, sure, they are not going to light up until you're in the transmit mode. So that doesn't seem to be any problem whatsoever. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and pop the case off, and we're going to get inside this VFO and see how R3 looks. Okay, going to give it a little handheld shot here, taking a look on the top side of the Viking Valiant. You can see oscillator tubes. The more mercury vapor monsters have been replaced with solid state devices. And she looks pretty clean inside, especially being, plus 50 years old. I do see one little issue right here. See that plate cap wire has a burnt spot on it. We'll have to investigate that, find out why it's like that. But for right now, what we want to concentrate on is getting inside here and taking a look on the inside this VFO compartment. Now, we could go underneath of it and use the scope to get up in there and look at that, but I want to see a whole view of this compartment to see what's, how things are looking, what's going on in there. Okay, so I went ahead and removed the two bigger tubes and the little CL6 tube. Got the exciter control out of the way, and got all the screws off the side cover. There's two that go under the bottom. It has 1/4-inch nuts on it, so we got those off. Now we can work this case side out of the way, and have a look in there. Well, as you can see, it looks pretty clean in there. I don't even know if anybody has ever even been into this compartment as clean as it looks inside. But as you can see, right down in here, let me focus in on that a little closer. Mr. Chernobyl is at home, and surprisingly, he looks good, but sometimes, you know, looks can be deceiving. So that's got to go. We got to get that thing out of there, because it may look good today, and tomorrow it might go up in a fireball. So that has got to come out. So as I'm getting here and getting a better look to clip that 18K resistor out, I noticed something that looked very strange. I said, well, I need to get this pink wire out of the way. Then I started thinking, what is that pink wire doing? If you notice this little pink wire that's in here, that you see right here, it's going from that end of the resistor to this end of the resistor. Now they're putting full voltage on this tube, and that can't be good. So now I have to wonder what kind of shape this tube is in. So we might have to even pull this thing out further and get this tube out and see how it looks. But that is never a good idea, to jump out this resistor. There's a reason why it's here, and that's to limit the voltage. So you can see here on our schematic, that's V2, which is our OA2 that's in our VFO unit, and coming right off of that is R3, which is an 18K. It then comes all the way down here to the end of R5, which is a 470K resistor, a 470 ohm resistor, excuse me. So now not only am I worried about this resistor, we have to look at this tube and R5 down here at the bottom and make sure they are okay. Why someone would go and jump this out, apparently maybe there's not enough current getting into this regulator tube, so they jumped it out to increase the current. That's not a way to fix nothing. If there's a problem with the voltage, you need to go in and source out why the voltage is down. So we'll get this replaced. We have to check this tube out and check the rest of the circuit and see what's going on. So to get to R5, that 470 ohm resistor, it's not an easy task, as it is on the other side of this terminal strip, which means we're going to have to strip this VFO case off. The good thing about the Viking Valiant over the Johnson Ranger is that we do not have to remove the front faceplate. We should be able to loosen up these L brackets here on the top and turn them to the side, take all the bolts and screws out, which is not going to be easy to get to. They do have holes drilled in here so you can get to these two screws on the side from this RF shield, so that'll help a little bit, but no easy task. Okay, so I got all the screws out the top. I got these two brackets out of the way. Now you know, I suggest not to do this if you don't have to. It's never a good thing to take this top plate off, because these adjusting rods, they go down to controls under the bottom here. And as you can see right here, there is little spring clips that Johnson used to make contact with the slot in the top of these variable trimmers. And these little things, if you ain't careful, boing, they're out and they're gone. So you got to be very careful when removing this. In fact, I'm going to do it off camera so I can concentrate on what I'm doing, so I do not lose any of these little spring clips. Now when we put them back together, I'll show you a way to get these to stay in place so you don't have to worry about them. So I got the top off, and as you can see, someone has already done what I was talking about. If we look over here at this control, you can see this spring clip is in there, and somebody has already glued it in place. This is so that you can remove it and these things will stay, and when you put them back in, you don't have to worry about them falling out. So someone has already been in here before and has done that, because this does not come from Johnson this way. I now have the shield removed from the VFO, and now we're able to get down here and see this 470 ohm resistor, and we can get down there and check it now. We also can get down here and clean this wafer switch that's sitting right under there. So this is the opportunity now to get that clean, and as you can see, the contacts on it are pretty blackened, and we'll get some deoxit on that, some Q-tips, and get that cleaned up now. So we're also able to look at the OA2 regulator tube. We can get that out, and we can go ahead and get those checked, and we can also check the oscillator tube while we got it out. That's a 6AU6. So now is a good time, you know, to get those checked, clean all the pins and the terminals, and inspect this VFO over real good, since we're in it this deep now. You know, look for bad solder joints or whatnot. I now have the Chernobyl resistor out, and I just don't understand why some people even call themselves technicians. I think the picture of this tells the whole complete story. As you can see, there is a pink wire from one end of the resistor to the other. You know, it's very lucky that this radio or transmitter has not seen better days due to fire and heavy smoke damage. It's just unbelievable that this thing did not burn up due to that resistor. I've got the ohm meter test leads connected to this resistor. I went ahead and cut the pink wire so we can get an idea. And that 18K resistor is checking in at about 21.09K ohms. So the resistor was going up in tolerance, but not down like they normally do. I guess the wire jumper was there to save the resistor. Now I know some of you are going to ask, hey, I haven't seen that meter before that you're using. What is that? Well, this is the Fluke. It's a 27 FM multimeter, and I recently picked this up from a colleague at work, and you can see it's a huge meter, and I like it just because it is huge, and it's a Fluke. And as you can see, setting it up here to this Johnson, it's pretty good size. Now, you know, looking at the other meter that I normally use in comparison to it, you can see how much smaller that is. But he had this for a good deal, and which I think is a good deal. These meters are not running that much on eBay, and I have seen them as low as $38. But still, it's not a bad meter. It's got a good set of test leads on it. we got alligator clips on the test probes, and it came in this nice case, as you can see. And inside the case we have the operator's manual. We have the instruction sheet for the 80K-6 high voltage probe. This is a 6 kilovolt probe, as you can see, and it is also a fluke probe. So pretty nice. Has a ground clip and dual banana jacks for the plug-in. Also came with a couple of HRC style fuses. So the old fluke has real protection in it. But I gave 40 bucks for the whole kit, and I couldn't turn it down. Big old tilting bells on the back of it, set on, good heavy duty. It's nice on me. May do a tear down on it one day. We'll just look and see. But for 40 bucks, I couldn't pass it up. Well, as you can see, we got the new 20K 5-watt resistor in place, and that is an original ohmite, and it's in there. So now what we need to do is test the voltages on this and make sure that we're got 150 volts. But first I'm gonna have to put the cover back on the VFO, but we'll leave the side out, this way we can get in here and test voltages. And I'm gonna just slip it on there and put one screw in, because there's some capacitors that's actually bolted to one of the legs to ground them out. There's nothing else around it to connect it to. So I'll go ahead and get that done, and we'll test the voltages. Okay, I have the unit on and powered up, and letting it warm up. And as you can see, I have two jumper clip leads connected to either side of that R3, and I have them running up here and taped to the top of the faceplate. And there's a reason why I'm doing that, because I do not want to be reaching in there and probing around the VFO with these two rectifier tubes sitting, or rectifiers sitting here. You come across those, you might have a little bit of a bad day. So now we can test our voltages and make sure that it's up to where it needs to be. Okay, we'll get the make sure the voltmeter's in view. Have a red lead. We'll first go here to this black one that is coming off the terminal strip, and we're at about 266 volts. Normally it should be around 300. It's a little low, but the main thing is where we are right here on the green wire, and this is coming off of pin 1 of the V2, which is our OA2 rectifier regulator tube, and we're at about 147.4 volts, which is pretty much good enough for our regulator. So it looks like that the circuit is working like it's supposed to be. Why someone went in and did that abomination that they did for jumping out that R3 resistor is just beyond me, why they would even do that. Well, now I can go ahead, since our tubes checked okay, I'll go ahead and get this VFO button back up, and then we can go ahead and test the rest of the transmitter and make sure everything is working okay. One thing I will say, if Terry from D-Lab would hear, he would tell you that Mr. Cobbler has been here and is alive and well. And the other thing that worries me is, why is there a burnt spot on this plate cap lead. So we're going to pull this off and take a look at it and make sure there's no problems under this cover. And I think if you look at it, you can see the issue. That resistor is toast. It's a big old burnt spot right on the black line, and she's cracked up. So we're going to have to get this replaced. And I might as well go ahead and take the other side off too, and go ahead and replace it with a new resistor also. Okay, now what we do is get rid of these old resistors and this covering that they had on it, and we're going to replace them back with some old original Sylvania 2% of 1 watt resistors, and we're going to use some heat shrink over top of them. So should never be no more problem with it blowing out these resistors on the plates. Okay, I got the new plate resistors in. I went back and I checked the 2 old resistors, and the one that was blown was actually reading 34 ohms. The one that wasn't blown was reading 1 ohm. So it tells you it was taking a lot of load, and it went to just about a dead short. But we got the new ones installed, got them new heat shrink on them, cleaned the flux off the plate caps. So now it's time to go ahead and get this thing turned around and just do a little testing and see if she's working. Okay, the Valiant's all back together, all but putting the case on it. We'll put this in, dip the plate, get the modulation. It's about 60 mils. That looks good. And we'll have a listen to it. Test 1, 2, 3. Yep, radio sounds pretty decent. Alright, so everything's back together, and it's checking out pretty good. As you can see, we got good audio. Sounds good from, you know, just listening to it through the AFR, which is not the best receiver to listen to quality audio on, but it does pretty good just for general testing. VFO oscillator's good and strong. I can see it on the spectrum analyzer. It's a good strong signal. I don't know why they put this jumper across this 18K resistor. No idea. Again, Mr. Cobbler at its finest, because the signal from the VFO is perfect. The voltages are fine. It's just something that's I don't know, somebody had some wild idea in the head or something. Absolutely no reason to do that and try to destroy a piece of equipment like this. But anyway, everything looks good. I need to get with the owner. There was a few other things that probably need to be done to this. Radio has been recapped. They've done a halfway decent job of recapping. I don't like the way some of the caps are mounted. I'd rather install terminal strips and mount them, but they have them just soldered directly to sockets and bent over and glued to the chassis. But you know, it is what it is. We'll see what the owner has to say. This particular Valiant is the older Valiant. It doesn't have the adjustable bias parts. It has the big resistor with the 2 slide taps on it. And also notice it has a red jewel in this side. Now the rig's on. The only lights you can see is the lights in the dial. I don't think they're showing up on the camera, but usually there's a green jewel here and a light in it. This light is not populated from the back, so there was never one installed. I do have the green jewels. If he wants to change it out and put a light in it, I'll get with him and see it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more Johnson repair videos, be sure to check out Terry over at D-Lab. He is the master on these old Johnson boat anchors and guitar amps. He just can't be beat. No question about it. He is the best on them, and I take his videos with pride when I watch them, and I like to try to stay in the same line of what he does when he repairs these old boat anchors. But it just doesn't get no better than what he does. As you can see here, being the older Valiant, it has the big resistor with the 2 taps on it. That's for the final bias and the modulation bias control. It does not have the pots installed in here to adjust the bias. But you know, it works. It works pretty good. You know, other things I like to do is go in and check these resistors and make sure that they're well within tolerance. As you can see, someone has done some recapping in here. I do not like the way the high voltage caps are mounted. I'm not a big fan of caps just flapping around. As you can see, they did install new safety capacitors in the back for the AC power cord, so that's a plus. You know, probably need to lube the cam mechanism for the band switch. That's something I'll do regardless, you know, or whatever. But you know, really just need to go through and make sure everything is up to date. You know, you still see a lot of these old green left in here that probably need to be changed out to something more stable. Get rid of these old green ones. They're not good to have laying around. I see a couple of orange drops has been installed. Wiring looks pretty good underneath. This is a hand-built unit, not a factory built. As you can see on the tube sockets, we have nuts and bolts. So whoever put this together originally did a pretty decent looking job. No problems at all. At least I don't see no issues at all with it. Anyway, you can check out links down below. Links to the website over at Go Karters at Electronic Universe. I also have these videos on Patreon if you'd like to go over to Patreon support. And until then, we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.